Hey everyone, it's John at National Sports Entertainment, and I wanted to go into recap of tonight's games. Again, not a great picking night but the good thing is it's kind of situated because going into Saturday, you'll see we have many plays, and we missed a few leg twos. We had Blazers, Heat, and we had the Clips, and we missed those three. We were able to get the Mavs leg two as well as the college. Maurice St. Peter's went over. So we were able to at least get two of them. And I like to at least obviously do three or better, or about 50% or better. In this case, it would have been 60%. But it's still good because, as I said, there's a reason we had a bunch of leg ones. Because we really don't have many open sequences, as you'll see, as I've been going over in my last couple videos. We got the Cavs. We got, like I said, we got a few narrative ones. Celtics, we missed by half a point. So, we'll get Clips. But St. Peter's, we got by a point. I think it was a point and a half. So, it goes both ways. So, it's not easy getting clipped, but at the same time, it's just something that I've come, to accept and grow used to. So, as far as our picks for college, I'm going to go into them and just why I like them. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of, for these ones, again, these are all metric plays, okay? So first, I'll just go into our leg ones. I like LA Tech to cover Florida Atlantic for the simple reason. This one we already plugged in this one. So Chiefs beat Eagles money line leg 3. That one's already plugged in, just so you guys know. So there we go. That's plugged in for the Merrimack Stonehill over. And speaking of Merrimack Stonehill, we're going to be getting into both of those teams. But yeah, Chiefs Eagles. I did go with Chiefs money line for a leg 3 there. Now, for LA Tech, I like them to cover Florida Atlantic simply because Florida Atlantic is very bad against the spread. So when you have a team that's just not good against the spread, I like to take them, A, because the public might be fading them, and B, because the metrics usually balance out. I also like Loyola Chicago to cover Richmond. Same thing. Loyola Chicago is not in any kind of crazy territory, but they are in the territory of a loss or two starts having them in a group of teams that are in the low 20s, which typically doesn't happen. Our next one I like is Texas A&M to cover Northwestern State, Texas A&M Commerce to be specific, because same thing. Northwestern State, it's about 74% against the spread. Nothing crazy, but again, it's between these 3-4 teams, and there's a total of like 11 plays, but the odds of them all winning and just going that much better against the spread, in my opinion, just very unlikely based off our picks in the past. Cincinnati, USF, that's going to be an under, a leg 1. USF's starting to get up there on the over. And I think, again, just the reason we did well with Toledo, we did well with, teams that we're not picking now because they went over so much. Toledo is one of them. Another one of them was Navy, who we are playing Navy now, but not as leg 3 because UAB is another one. They were all going over. And you notice it's other teams now. So USF's up there. I like the under on that one. Now here's our first leg 2. Mississippi State, Arkansas State over. Mississippi State's the worst team right now in the country at 25%. And not that they can't, drop below that. As you've seen, teams have dropped below that. Just the odds of that happening. We still have 5 games left. I don't think it continues to happen. So Mississippi State under, I really do like. I think people will slam the under in this case because they always go under. So I like these two teams to go over, and that's our first leg 2. Our next leg 2 is Army-Navy. That one's an under, and the reason I'm playing that is because, again, both teams not great on the over, but on the under, I should say. Specifically Navy, they've been hitting overs all year. They play at a very fast pace, so I do expect people to be playing the over on this game. So I like the under here for the Army-Navy game. And again, all the leg 2s, all you see, I'm just plugging them in for leg 1 losses. Merrimack, I told you I was going to bring them up, as well as Stonehill. Merrimack St. Francis is a nice one because Merrimack is really bad on the over, and St. Francis, PA is not great on it either. So to me, this one's a great leg 2 because you have 2 teams, and Merrimack specifically, they weren't hitting it. Then they hit it I think that they hit it 1 or 2 weeks in a row. Once I've noticed this, a team starts hitting a metric, they usually will hit like 5, 6 in a row. I'm not saying they always do, but it happens very, very often. So that's why I like them as a leg 2. Now we get to leg 3. Tulsa covers UCF. This is my absolute, if you had to ask me for a lock, this is my play of the night, only because I genuinely believe that there's no way Tulsa can continue at this pace. Right now, Tulsa is at, I'm just looking for a leg 2 to plug it in for. You can see we have to go back a little bit here. But here we go, Hawks cover Nuggets. That didn't come through, so leg 3 will be Tulsa covers UCF. Tulsa is abysmal against the spread. And again, they'd really have to defy history to continue like this. So I like them as a leg 3. They didn't come through in the last game, but again, they're not always going to come through, but I'm still sticking with the metric. Notre Dame to cover Virginia Tech, same deal. Notre Dame's been bad against the spread, and at the same time, Virginia Tech is just a game. I looked at the line, and I think people are going to be slamming Virginia Tech in this game. They just looked bad against Georgia. Notre Dame did. Georgia Tech. So I think it's a good game again for people that are going to be not picking Notre Dame. So I do like them to cover here. And as you can see, I'm just taking leg 2 losses we had and plugging in a leg 3. That's all we're doing here. And same thing with the leg 2s. And that's the reason I'm doing that in this order, just so you can see exactly how I plug these in. And we only have 2 more, Grand Canyon and Seattle. I like the under. The reason being, again, Grand Canyon's gone over a lot this year. They play at a high pace, a very fast pace, and I think people are going to be more inclined to take Seattle, Grand Canyon. They're going to be betting the over. And again, just for the metric's sake, there's a reason Saturday I feel like all these teams play, and they usually wind up bouncing out in our favor because most of them just can't all continue at the pace that they're at. And again, you can see this is, again, since the 27th of December, and you can see how many we have on basically closed out. That's why I save Saturdays for the most part for most of our leg 3s, just because they are by far the best metrics that I've played. And the last one left here is St. Francis, New York, Stonehill, which I like to go over. The reason I like that one to go over is both of those teams are in the bottom 5 as right now against the spread. So I love that as a leg 3 because, again, I just don't think you kill 2 birds with one stone. We just had it happen with Stonehill. I think it was Stonehill Merrimack. That's why I brought them up earlier, where they both just abysmal on the over. And, of course, they went over when we picked them because just trying to find one last 2-leg loss if we have any of them. Here we go. Louisville covers Pitt. That was from not too long ago. And there's our 5th one. So we have 5 leg 3s, it looks like, and a couple leg 2s. A total of 13 games, I believe it is. And, yeah, St. Francis, Stonehill over, another one I love. Not as much as Tulsa, but I still like it. And, this is why I play college, because we've been hitting at a 70-something% rate, and they're great for leg 3s. So some of the leg 2s that didn't work out, I think we're going to have come through for leg 3s. Of course, we're not going to close them all. But if the leg 3s go our way tomorrow, then I could call it a prediction, whatever you want to call it. My belief, I guess is the best word, that we will be up 100 units since the Super Bowl will have come true. We picked up another 5 today. Of course, any leg 3 is going to be -7. We have to keep that in perspective. So, like I said, I'm still going through trying to find Hanning Chads, but there are so few, and I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of plays. As you can see here alone, 242. That's just sequences we won. So all of those sequences involved sometimes 2-3 games. So we've played 300-400 plays, something of that effect. Probably something closer to 5, and probably 450, something like that, if I had to just guess, since December 27th. And of those, 400 plus, whatever it is, we are maybe looking at 7 to 10 where we have an open sequence heading to a leg 2. And that's why I picked these college ones for leg 3s, because we usually wind up slamming them out every Saturday, it seems like. So, not saying it's a guarantee, but I do like our prospects going to tomorrow. And with basketball, I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. Again, I understand them keeping the Thunder in it. I think they want to establish the Blazers. I think they're going to do that. But I think it just bodes for my Kings argument. They're looking less and less like a team that has us a gridlocked third seed every day, with other teams just mere games behind them. So just keep an eye on that, because I know people think I'm crazy. We'll just see what seed they finish at and what winds up happening with them. This looked like a potential play. This is what I'm saying as far as like narratives. These could be our 9 and 10 seeds right here. Thunder, Blazers. They're the perfect teams. The winner's going to be seen as a young, hungry team. They've already said how the Blazers are like the third youngest team in the league. Dame's basically like a coach for them. And the Thunder, I think, are one of the only ones that are younger. I could be wrong. But you could just see that they're pressing this shootout type atmosphere. So I could certainly see them lining these two up to be 9 and 10 in the play-in. That would make a lot of sense to me. And we'll see what they do with Russell with the Jazz. But I'm just saying, I certainly don't think the Kings are going to finish like others do, just because they have a rough schedule ahead of them. And seeding can be confusing. People see like, a 3 seed, 11 seed, but they don't realize it's like 3 games on purpose separating them. So I'm going to go more into the playoffs, how they're structured. It's going to be really interesting, actually. Yeah, I someone had brought up the prospect of Vince McMahon selling WWE, and it's like every time the company grows, and like now they have WrestleMania that's proven to be, this one is going to be the highest buy rate ever. And then you always see these articles, Vince is rushing to sell the company. And I think they just want him to sell it, because think about it, NBA, NFL, they're all owned by one conglomerate, Disney, who owns ESPN, who owns the news networks. McMahon's not really bound by those restrictions. He even made his own app that, the WWE network everyone hears about. They did partner with Peacock, but at the end of the day, he can just have his own platform. So, not to go on a tangent, but I think that's what just draws the distinction between Vince McMahon and these other leagues. He doesn't pretend he's actually doing the matches are real. I mean, they did maybe in the 80s, but they stopped that a long time ago, and even then they just indicated it. But yeah, so yeah, it's just funny to see that. I would honestly see I would expect to see parts of ESPN fold before WWE. But I do think that there's definitely going to be, as I said, this is like setting up a play-in my opinion, these two teams. And it just makes sense. You have, again, they're hungry, they're young, and people will see them both as sleepers. So they can get out of the first, maybe even the second round. And it would be the Blazers, in my opinion, not the Thunder, making a little bit of a run. But either way, I think they're just telling us some stories. But yeah, so those are my college plays. And like I said, most of them are leg 1s, but the leg 2s and 3s I went into and I, showed you guys. So the reason I do it that way, so you can see this is exactly how I do my picks. That way it's, to remember all these plays, that's why I make sure I always have them here, and then put them, of course, in my Discord and on the playlist, because remembering which ones to close, you can imagine, is quite tricky. So I always go back, make sure we don't have hanging chads. And for leg 3s, like, again, Blazers lost, that's a leg 3. Heat lost, that's a leg 3. So it doesn't matter where you plug them in. But I just show you personally my plays. And we have quite a bit of leg 2s and leg 3s tomorrow. So it'll be interesting. I think we have a really good day. I like to get this one out the night prior, because I do know with Saturday the games range from 11 a.m. to midnight. So I like to get it out as early as possible. And I'll go into the NBA too. Usually I focus more on college, but we'll hit the NBA as well. And I can go, the Super Bowl is not much more to go into. But thinking about doing something on tomorrow, maybe the day of the Super Bowl. So people have been mentioning doing something in a different setting, instead of just doing a video. So I might, if you guys want me to do something, I could for the Super Bowl. But I think it'll be fun, like something before the Super Bowl or something like that. A video would be nice, hour or two or something. We can do something. So, yeah, I think it'll be cool, and there's going to be a lot of fun narrations going into that game. So take care, everybody, and happy earnings.